Good evening. Welcome to the Reloading Podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network. Hello, everyone. How are you tonight?
That would be you. That would be you, Travis and Phil.
And you, Jim.
He doesn't care about me.
Well, you are kind of trying to be the what the hell's, what do they call it? Oh, the anonymous witness, I guess, because you're all darkened out, Jim.
Well, it's because of the overhead light. See if that helps. I'll have to see.
Good thing you're not Jason. We'd have a blinding glare.
You almost do. My hair is getting kind of wispy. Anyway, how you doing tonight, Travis?
Good.
Phil?
Doing fine, guys. Doing fine.
What you got in the glass, Phil?
Sweet tea like usual.
Same here. Iced tea.
You know, sweet tea is good with vodka.
I've learned my lesson podcasting while intoxicated. It doesn't end well.
You just can't get 171, or in Trevor's case, 104.
Okay. The short version of the long story is at Prepper Camp back in September, we did a lot. We recorded a podcast episode between myself and my co-host, 3 of our patrons, and the 2 gentlemen, Steve and Eric from Wasted Ammo podcast, and various people that just happened by and joined the audience at Prepper Camp.
Mm-hmm.
And we drank a lot of whiskey. And then Uncle Randy got me started on some stuff called cactus juice, which is made by the devil, I'm convinced, because it loosened my tongue. F-bombs came out about every 3rd word. It was bad. It was bad. Very entertaining, very, very bad. So no more drunken podcasting for me.
I swore off of that a long time ago.
Yeah, it's entertaining, but it doesn't end well.
It's funny, but stupid.
You just have to enjoy alcohol in moderation.
Those 2 terms are not mutually exclusive either. Stupid and funny.
Nope.
Yeah, it didn't help that we were playing the card game Conflicted. If any of y'all are familiar with that.
No.
Conflicted is a scenario-based card game in which you flip a card and it says basically, this is the situation, what would you do? And it's stuff like zombie apocalypse, SHTF, societal collapse. So when you take that game, you get a bunch of preppers to play it, and then you get them all intoxicated. It went downhill quickly. My co-host was talking about how best to make the neighbors taste better. It went off the rails quickly.
Parboiled, fricasseed, broiled, or French fried?
Grilled with barbecue sauce, I think, was the consensus.
Oh, okay.
Well, supposedly, according to cannibals, humans taste like chicken, so I don't know.
Okay, this conversation is going to take a hell of a...
And we're not even drinking.
Right. Travis, you got anything enlightening to tell us? Come on, Travis, unmute your mic and let us hear your wisdom, please. Because these 2 guys haven't shown any brilliance at all tonight.
You're expecting
I'm not going to be able to add much to it.
I think his first mistake is expecting wisdom out of me, so that's his first mistake.
Well, you brought me onto the show.
Yeah, the first in a line of bad decisions.
Well, Jim, figuring that you're like 5,000 years old, you should have at least a little bit of experience to draw on. So therefore, in your case, experience does equal knowledge.
Well, thank you. I think. So, Phil, did you do anything in Guns N' Reloading this week?
As a matter of fact, I did. I like I posted on my Instagram. My father and I went with my father to work the range this past Monday because I had the day off, and it was maintenance day at the gun range he volunteers at. And while we were policing brass, we found 2 loaded 5.56 rounds. And my father and I have a very strictly enforced policy that we don't pick up loaded ammo we find at the range and shoot it, because we know lots of reloaders. And I don't trust anybody's reloading except mine or my father's, because if he wanted to kill me, he'd have done it by now. And when we found these 2 rounds, one of them was like an FMJ loaded in, I think it was either Remington or Federal brass. And I was like, it kind of looks like a factory round, but just in case, I'm going to tear it down, salvage the brass, and get rid of the components. And then I found another one that was loaded in Lake City brass, had the primer pocket, had the crimp in the primer pocket, obviously worked out, and had an open tip match bullet loaded into it. And I looked at my dad and I'm like, I guarantee you this is a reload. Like there's no doubt in my mind. I've never seen an open tip match bullet loaded in Lake City brass except in very rare conditions, and that'd be a factory load. So I took it home and tore it down, and lo and behold, it's a 75 grain Hornady open tip match. And you can very clearly see that the primer pocket had been reamed. So I was like, I know for a fact this is a reload, and I feel like I did a good service to some poor SOB that might have come along behind me and taken that round out of circulation so nobody put it into their gun. Because it could have been perfectly fine, but I don't trust anybody's reloads but mine. That has to be the way it is. And I don't want to let somebody else who is maybe as cautious as I am stick that in their AR and then blow their bolt carrier out the back of the rifle. That's just me personally. Other than that, I decided to push my luck with my 357. I loaded up a handful of rounds with 158 grain semi-wad cutters and 16 grains of H110, which we were talking about that before the show started. That's like what most people would consider a pretty stiff load. I think we can all agree on that. But it's 0.7 of a grain under the max for Hodgdon's data.
Wait a minute, Phil. Excuse me for interrupting. No, you said 158 grain semi-wad cutters?
Yep.
Now, are these factory lead bullets or are these factory cast bullets? What were you using?
These are plated. And I already know what you're about to say. Go ahead.
Well, that's almost as soft as it's almost as soft as lead bullets, except for the jacketing. What it is, the jacketing is rather thin.
Ordinarily, I would agree with you, except for 2 things. First of all, I've talked to a lot of people that seem to believe, and I'm beginning to agree with them, that whatever Extreme Bullets does, the electroplating on those bullets has got to be fairly sturdy.
Yep.
Because I've driven these bullets as hard as I dare, and I haven't seen any indication of gas cutting. I haven't seen any signs of jacket you wouldn't call it jacket separation, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I've seen no indication these bullets are coming apart at all. Okay.
Somebody's making good bullets. So good. That's good.
Best I can tell, they're making amazing bullets. I mean, they're a little squishy on the overall length. Like when I load them, I notice I get a little bit bigger variance in the loaded length compared to what I do in jacketed bullets. But as far as like weight, diameter, they're very consistent. They seem very tough. But I built this load up with a ladder a while ago, and 16 grains of H110 is where I stopped because I just ran out of nerve. But I brewed up another 50 of these things and shot them, and it is a surprisingly accurate load in my revolver. I don't shoot this revolver as well as I'd like, which is why I'm practicing with it. My father was able to stack 4 rounds almost on top of each other at 10 yards, which is a lot tighter group than what I was able to manage with this thing with another load.
Now, what exactly kind of revolver is this?
This is a Ruger GP100 357 Magnum 4-inch barrel.
That's a nice little carry gun if you're going to carry a revolver.
That's why I got it. I had the option for a 6-inch barrel, and I look at it. You and I have talked about this. With a 6-inch barrel, every extra inch of barrel is that much further. You got to pick the butt up into your armpit to get the thing out of a holster. And a 4-inch gun is just more easily carried. And the whole point behind getting this gun is a woods gun.
Yeah, it's not an everyday shooter.
No, not for me. It's meant to be a woods gun. It's meant for those situations because we have things down here in Louisiana with teeth that I don't trust 9mm to put down very well.
I agree. They got kind of scaly skin too, as I understand it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've almost run one over with a car before, so needless to say, they're it ain't like you got to go to the zoo to see one.
Yep. Yeah, they say hitting one of those is like hitting a log.
But them there guys in them that their TV show just use a 22 to the head to dispatch them suckers. Why can't you just use a 20 tape?
Okay, first of all,
It won't kill it.
No, first of all, it might kill it. Might. Second of all, it only does that at close range when you hold the SOB still and you shoot them in the head.
Right.
But a lot of people don't understand that alligators in the water are insanely fast, and they're even pretty fast on land for a short distance. I mean, they can sprint. I think it's double their body length very, very quickly. So if you look at a reasonably sized alligator and you think it can sprint double that length at a high rate of speed, I don't trust a 22. I want a 357 Magnum or 44 or an elephant gun or a shotgun, something I can trust to put the critter down before I become its next meal. And then there's, black bears and a variety of other four-legged predators I don't want to play around with the 22.
Exactly. I just wanted to put that out there because I know better. But there are people out there that see TV shows and think it's all real.
Yeah, there's people that think that lots of stuff they see on TV is real. It's like it was on the internet; it must be true.
Yeah,
Right.
Or they think that that 9mm is gonna really kill a bear.
Oh, it might if you stick the pistol halfway in the bear's mouth before you pull the trigger.
Eventually, it will die.
I'm sorry, I don't even trust the 357 for a bear.
Yep.
With 200 grain wad cutters. Not gonna trust it. Nope, thanks. 44 or bigger.
For a brown bear or black bear, I do that. For a grizzly or Kodiak, Nope,
brown bear is about the same as a grizzly, again, Kodiak.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah. No, black bears.
Black bears go 300 to 500 pounds.
Nope.
They can go bigger. I said I meant on average.
On average, probably in your northern states. Well, I guess that all depends on when you're looking. In spring, they're going to be a lot lighter than they would be in the fall. But in the fall, most of the ones that we're seeing around here are probably in that 5 to 7.
I was thinking of the context of the Pennsylvania woods.
Yeah, Pennsylvania is probably still, depending on the forage, you're probably still talking a big old boar. You're probably talking 5 to 7. Always plan for the larger size and hope for the smaller.
You betcha. Travis, you do anything this week in Guns and Reloading, buddy?
Only thing I really did was look on the internet for a new 3-gun pistol. That's
What are you in the market for, bud? What are you in the market for?
So I kind of want to get a 2011. So I've been looking at. So I've been just kind of pricing stuff out and looking around and drooling over stuff and realizing it's going to be a while before I get one.
Isn't that about the same price as 2 1911s?
Yeah, the one that I'm kind of wanting is like 4,000, 5,000.
Oh,
holy jeez! You can buy cars cheaper than that.
We gotta have a talk about your spending habits, sir.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna be able to get one for a while, but like I said, I was just kind of drooling.
Well, I mean, if you can afford one of those, I got about 100 paperbacks to sell you.
Oh, that's a good one. Well, Mike, did you do anything in Guns Reloading this week?
I cleaned a couple.
That counts.
Yeah, it counts. I did some more work on my bench. My bench is assembled. My bench is anchored to the concrete floor. I bought the materials to anchor the. It's not anchored to the wall yet, guys. Hang on. I bought material to anchor it to the wall, and then I bought material to anchor the two together. But I have to connect to the wall, and the way the bench is sitting, I can't move the bench unless I unanchor it, and I don't want to do that. So I've got to have 3 pieces of lumber to secure this thing. 2 to fill up the void that's between the bench and the wall, a third to scab over and cleat against it to hold all three pieces together. Anyway, I'm working on it slowly but surely. The big problem I'm having now is trying to find something to cover the bench, because it's got bench dog holes in it. And I don't want them in there, so I have to cover it. Well, I've got the sheet material to cover the holes, but I don't have believe it or not, I bought a piece of plywood, BCX plywood, for $17.50 at the local Blue Home Improvement Center. $17.50 for a sheet of plywood. I thought I was going to go nuts. But it is BCX, not CDX. B grade, one side. C grade, second side. X stands for exterior. Construction grade plywood, basically. Anyway, so I've got that. I have to cut that down. But then once I do that, I want to put some sort of sheet vinyl floor covering, preferably pastel white. Yeah, my bench is going to get dirty, but you know what? That's dirt is one thing. I want my bench to be nice and light in color. But anyway, so I got to get some sort of floor covering, a remnant of some kind, somewhere to cover the bench, and then I'll anchor that down with the third piece of lumber I'm talking about, and use some aluminum stair trim. It's called, like I always called aluminum bullnose, aluminum stair edging to anchor down the other three sides as well as glue it down in the middle. That's it for me, just working on my bench some more, guys.
So, not that I would ever encourage my father's smack talk, even though that's where I learned it from. He did happen to make the comment Monday that he thought he was going to finish his reloading shed before you did.
Well,
I told him I was not going to tell you because that'd be an awful wound to put salt into. So I didn't.
You didn't tell me. Well, Carl, nope. You know what I got to say to you, Carl? Is he on the air? Is he on the show tonight?
I don't believe so. I haven't seen him.
Okay, nope, well, I won't slam him yet. I won't slam him yet. Carl, you can kiss my. Oh, my wife got into that one. Phil, you could tell your dad I said that he can kiss my. Yeah, you go ahead. You want to take and tell lies and carry messages? Go ahead, Phil. There's one for you. Remember, I'm the guy you screwed over when I didn't have a voice.
You would have done it to me.
True. You pissed me off if you just thought of the first.
No, just a little friendly Rabelais ribbing.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, the only problem is he's gonna Shanghai me and helping him build a bench. But in return, he's gonna do a bunch of brass prep for me and get a whole bunch of 5.56 ready to load. So I call that fair trade.
650 can be used for brass prepping.
Yep, and he can resize and trim and swage brass a whole lot faster than I can with a rock chucker.
You betcha. Especially that swage thing that you have in the 650 system.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got a brass feeder?
Yep, he does.
Yeah, good.
Brass feeder, the RL 1500, the Dillon trimmer. He's got all the toys.
Good for you. Even so, if you listen to the show, good on you, Carl. Good on you, buddy. Leave that one in and hook him. Anyway, so that's it for me. So where are we at now, Mike? Moving over to the show notes?
Pretty much. So, we do have some important business to take care of first, which would be taking time to thank Patriot Patch Company for their sponsorship of this fine program. And then also thanking Jake or Sean and the guys over at Firearms Radio Network So for letting us hang out here every week. Just wanted to let everybody know, I just saw the preview for the March patch of the month. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. So, and now it's about that time.
What time would that be?
Time to get a watch. Or more specifically, in this case, be time for the cartridge corner.
My watch says 2023.
Well, it's good you have a watch.
Yeah.
So what is the cartridge for the week?
Well, I chose one out of the big woods of Pennsylvania this week. That was my choice this week. And that would be the famous old 35 Remington. Yeah, that's the one that came with a Twisted Tube magazine. How do they twist the tube? I don't know. Probably put a mandrel down a small piece of tubing and hammered the tubing around the mandrel. Or something like that nature. But anyway, this article comes from Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. 35 Remington is the only remaining cartridge from Remington's lineup of medium-power rimless cartridges still in commercial production. Introduced in 1906, it was originally chambered for the Remington Model 8 semi-automatic rifle in 1908. It is also known as the 9x49 Browning, that'd be metric, of course, and the 9mm Don Gonzalo. Okay. History. Over the years, the 35 Remington has been chambered in a variety of rifles by most firearms manufacturers. It continues in popularity today in the Marlin Model 336 lever action. It is also a popular cartridge for single-shot hunting pistols like the Thompson Center Contender. I have one in 35 Remington and the Remington XP100. For hunters looking for a good woods gun, i.e. a medium power rifle with moderate recoil for short to medium ranges, the 35 Remington is popular, taking a second place to the 30-30 Winchester. It has a small but loyal following in the Northeast and areas of the southern United States. Sorry about that. I had to clear my throat. Didn't want to put it on the air. Anyway, the cartridge uses a medium to heavy bullet and has moderate recoil based on a moderate pressure level of 33,500 CUP as set by SAMI. That equals roughly 33,500 PSI. The normal factory load consists of a 200 grain round nose bullet with a muzzle velocity of 2,080 feet per second. 200 grain bullet is nearly 18% heavier than the 30-30's 170 grain bullet and has a 16% larger frontal area. This gives it a substantial increase in power over the 30-30, especially when used on larger game species, such as we were talking before. We went on the air talking about the North American black bear. Especially, I was referring to the ones out of Pennsylvania, and Mike was talking about them big bastards that come out of Wisconsin. So y'all must feed your bears pretty good out that way, Mike. But anyway, Remington helped promote the advantage in power that the 35 Remington had over the 30-30 through a series of advertising campaigns in the early 1900s. One of their advertisements even publicized the ability of the 35 Remington to penetrate a 5/16 steel plate, which the 30-30 Winchester could not do. Well, you know, that's kind of subjective because the 35 Remington might have had a mild steel plate, whereas the 30-30 Winchester might have had a harder steel. Who knows? Whatever. It's still a good old round. It's still a good old round as far as that goes.
I got some other facts for you on that one. So
okay, good. The 35 Remington is considered a fine round for deer, elk, black bear, and other medium and large game as long as ranges are reasonable. Hornady currently produces a 35 Remington load in their Lever Evolution line that features a rubber-tipped Spitzer bullet, which is safe to use in lever guns, lever action, or pump guns with tubular magazines. The rest of this article is about specs, but I have one last tidbit that I want to throw in there, guys, about the 35 Remington. 35 Remington cartridge, at least in my Thompson Center Contender, can be loaded very nicely with handgun bullets in the 357 diameter, 358 diameter. I've got a box of 357. I think they're 158 grain semi-wad cutters over a nice mild load of Unique upstairs, just waiting to go shoot some lead at the steel target. Never mind my wife. She's not supposed to be on camera.
Oh.
Yeah, see, we need to get a room.
I didn't see them.
I'm getting hammered because she walked into the camera.
I like her because she abuses you.
I didn't see the camera. Sorry.
Anyway, no, it can be loaded very nicely with all manner of 357 diameter jacketed handgun bullets, and you can use some lead bullets too. Keep your velocity mild, guys, because you use some of those factory lead bullets I was talking about to Phil earlier, like a swaged lead bullet. It's pure lead. You won't like what you did. That's all I got. Mike, over to you. You said you had something about the 35 Rem and 30-30 cartridge steel plate test?
So, yeah, you were saying, steel plate I don't have anything on. My guess is that was probably set up, more than likely, with different levels of steel, as you were suggesting. Because your product specs, so I took somewhat apples to apples. I took the Lever Evolution from Hornady. So on that 200 grain for the 35 Rem, it's 2225 FPS at the muzzle and 2198 foot-pounds of muzzle energy. They don't load a 200 grain in the 30-30. Frankly, it's not really practical. But they do load 160. And that 160 grain is coming out of the barrel at 2,400 feet per second with foot-pounds of 2046.
That's about 160 foot-pounds less energy.
Right. But that's not enough of a difference to keep it from punching it through a steel plate.
Again, depending upon the steel plates. All things being fair,
right.
I wouldn't want to stand in the way of either cartridge.
Nope. You know? They're both amazing whitetail cartridges. I know a lot of people that use 30-30s on brown bears or on black bears too. So, I don't know. And frankly, the 35, I guess inside 50 yards, absolutely. Inside 100, maybe, but probably not. There's definitely a lot better cartridges out there. When we're hunting, the goal is to ethically kill the animal, not be a jackass and shoot it with whatever, so you can just say you killed it with that cartridge. So I don't know. I'm hard pressed to say that using a 30-30 or a 35 Rem on a bear would be acceptable. So, in my personal opinion. So, and obviously, if that's with factory ammunition. If you want to get serious and handle your own, you can change the capabilities of the cartridge. And obviously, with Jim firing it out of a Thompson Center single barrel versus a lever action is a different story. Also, I'm sure there's bolt guns out there in 35 Rem. I know there's bolt guns in 30-30. So you can definitely jack up the cartridge even more. So from that standpoint, it's theoretically possible, but not recommended, in my opinion.
And the handgun, I suffer from velocity loss as opposed to an 18, 20-inch barrel out of lever gun.
Right.
Pop gun.
Well, yeah, that's the other drawback is you've only got a 10-inch, 12, 14 inch barrel?
14. All my barrels are super 14s.
Yeah. So, depending on how you load it, that 4 inches.
Exactly.
That's what she said. Anyway, so, yeah, it's definitely a fun cartridge. It's definitely, you know, of lore, not because it came along so long after the 3030. It's probably why it's got the second place. So,
let me ask you this, Mike: does anyone here on the show, or even in the chat on the YouTube, does anyone know why they have a Twisted Tube magazine?
No, I do not.
Let's throw that question out there. How about, guys? You guys in the YouTube chat, anybody know why there is a twisted tube barrel and 35 Remington pump guns? Well, we're not going to sit here all night for that one, but I will tell you, Mike, it's cast the heel end of the cartridge off center so the nose of the bullet behind it doesn't directly impact onto the primer.
Aha.
Same principle behind round nose and flat nose bullets in the 30-30.
Right.
Keep a pointed projectile from impacting on the primer, so they throw it off center.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. I guess the question is it noisy? That would be my concern.
Noisy.
Well,
it's on all the cartridges are under spring tension.
Yeah.
In the magazine tube.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be. It's not going to be noisy rattling around kind of thing.
Yeah. So.
Yes, it's going to be noisy when you take the work to slide, but you're not going to work the slide until you fired one. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. So. All right. So questions for tonight. Jeff posted in the reloading room. Does anybody use 4350 with 150 grain bullets in 308? None of my manuals show this combo. I haven't loaded much 308, but I'm going to send. I have a bunch of 4350 and sure wanted to use it.
While y'all were doing Cartridge Corner, I was actually perusing through some load data, and I think I might have at least a partial answer to why he's having trouble finding load data for that bullet weight and that cartridge with that powder. Best I can tell, that powder is a fair bit slower than like CV223 and BLC2 and Win 760 and some of the slower powders that are used in that cartridge.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that might be part of the reason why he's having trouble finding load data, because it just might be too slow of a powder for that weight of bullet.
Yeah.
I can't say directly because I've never tried it, but just looking at a burn rate chart and where that falls with the reserve powers I'm more familiar with.
Yeah.
I think it might be a bullet to powder mismatch.
I agree. He should be using a powder for that weight bullet. He should be using a powder on the order of a IMR 4895
or 4064.
Yep, those are close to each other.
Yeah, but I mean, between those two, or like Varget or BLC2, it's kind of hard to go wrong.
Yeah, there's so many good powders for that. I don't know. Honestly, you know what the answer is. He wants to use all that 4350. The correct answer, get a 6.5 Creedmoor.
The correct answer is buy heavier bullets. 200 grain out of a normal load for 308. That'll probably handle that 4350 pretty well. That 4350 is pretty damn slow powder, though.
I mean, based on Hornady's manual, they're not showing anything slower than Win 748 for even a 208 grain bullet in 308 Winchester. So, I mean, I agree. It's a really slow powder for that cartridge. I'm not going to say it can't be done, but I'll go out on a limb and say it's probably far enough away from optimal that you're pushing a rope.
Well, the other thing is, too, depends on how much the guy has. It depends upon how much he wants to, how badly he wants to use it. Maybe he's trying to take and use up somebody else's stock. He might have bought some at an auction, whatever. You know, if that's the case, your bargain's okay, but try it in something like a 300 Winchester mag or something even heavier, like 300 H&H or 300 rum.
Buy a 6.5 Creedmoor. The 4350 is one of the best powders from all the things I found. I'm just starting to work up load data and figure out what powder I'm going to use. And from everything I've seen, 4350 is the powder to use for 6.5.
Even in an AR platform?
Yeah.
Okay.
It also depends on what he's trying to do with it, though. Because, I mean, if he's just trying to make, like, I don't know why on earth you'd be trying to make plinkers in a 308 unless you had, like, an AR-10 or something like that. But, I mean, or an M1A. But if you're just trying to make plinking ammo because you got a ton of the stuff and you're trying to burn it up, maybe. But if you're trying for any kind of reasonable accuracy, good velocity, I have a hard time advising somebody to get away from, you know, what's known to be the 308's wheelhouse. I mean, there's a lot of powders that make really consistent, awesome loads. 4350 is not one of them. And I have a hard time believing that as long as that cartridge has been around, if it really was the hot ticket, somebody wouldn't have already figured it out.
Let's put it this way. On Hodgdon Reloading's data, for any bullet weight, 4350 is not an option. There is no data for 4350.
Well, I guess then the answer really is stick with published data, Jeff.
That or find somebody that has a lot of 4895 or 4064 and swap them.
Yep.
Well, again, you got to have a place for that swap to go to. And
yep.
4350's got to go into a big bore cartridge.
Mm-hmm.
I named 3 of them right off the top of my head.
Right.
There's about 5 more, I think.
Yeah. I like Mike's answer. You're now emotionally obligated by a 6.5 Creedmoor.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, we'll let that pass.
I mean, look, I got 2 pounds of H1000s sitting in my garage and nothing to do with them. I'm trying to convince my wife and my wallet I really need a 300 Win Mag or something similar.
Well, if you're going to do that, Phil, go 300 rum. You're going to go Magnum. Go Magnum.
Unfortunately, my wallet keeps telling me there will be no more Magnums. That's
well. You make sure you buy at least a 26-inch tube for that Magnum too. I know you're not a real big man, but I mean tall and all that.
I'm about to say I'm the best part of 6 feet and 250 pounds. I'm not that little.
Okay. I thought you were shorter than that. Sorry.
No, the camera makes me look fat, not short. Get it right.
All right. Anyway, I advise you to go 300 rum and be done with it.
Jared in the chat says Nosler number 8 has data for IMR 4350 and 165, 168 grain.
Really?
Bullet.
So, but yeah, I mean, I guess it's out there if you want to find a Nosler number 8 manual. Maybe Nosler's got it on their site. Go look. But no data. There we go. Yeah, I definitely think 6.5 Creedmoor could be fun. So I'll let you know when I finally get loading mine. Right now, the only thing I've got is some factory ammo from JCAA because I needed brass and they had a load they just made, so I figured I'd have some for fun.
Paul in the chat just said that Nosler's load data has it online.
Okay.
I still repeat my original contention though that I don't like that powder burn rate and that weight of bullet. I'm not saying it won't work.
Well, the thing is, too, you know, how efficiency has a big part to play in it, too.
Well, I mean, it's like, I'm not saying a 4-cylinder, Ford Ranger won't tow a boat, but it may not tow it that far, and it may not tow it that fast, and it ain't gonna last that long. I guess what I'm saying is, I mean, to me, I think there's a better option.
To me,
unless
it's like
he's just dead set on using that powder.
Well, to me, using 4350 in 308 caliber is like using a GMC 4500 dually to tow a lawnmower.
Push lawnmower.
Yeah, that too. But whatever. That's up to you, Jeff. Hopefully we cleared that up, or we made it as muddy as murky as possible.
So yeah, Nosler doesn't want to play nice for me. I don't care about reloading precautions. I just want the data. Anyway. Now we might be making it somewhere. They list 308 Winchester at the very last. Oh no, sorry, 762 by 39's last. So, all right.
You must have a heat source in the garage tonight.
Yeah, I normally do. It's just actually I turned it on at 3:30 today, so got a lot warmer in here. It's actually a balmy 57 degrees. Well, plus I'm pretty sure that the Buffalo Trace Dr. Pepper combination is helping.
Buffalo laced?
Buffalo Trace.
Buffalo Trace. Oh, okay. Never heard of it.
You've never heard of Buffalo Trace?
No, sir.
Good stuff. Hey,
Mike, I got the link to Nosler's reloading data for 308 Winchester. You want me dumping in the I don't know if you want to put it in the show notes or just stick it in the chat or what.
Yeah, I got it already too. So
all right, never mind. I thought you were fighting with it.
Well, I got to the 308, but I just can't get it to bring up the data. So
yeah, I'm looking at it. They don't show a load for a 150 grain. They do have some loads for 165, 168s.
Yeah, I can't get it to bring that page up though. So all I get is the 110 and the 125. So I won't click over. Obviously, my computer freaking hates me tonight.
Well, you got to remember that the 5 of us are consuming a lot of bandwidth right now.
I'm still rocking over 100.
Good for you.
Down, so
good for you.
It shouldn't load. So stupid pain in the ass. Anyway, the other Paul says we should probably come up. I should find out his last name so I can do the initials. But he says it should be noted that all load data on Nosler's site for IMR 4350 is compressed. So. Now they're wondering about best powder to get Fireball from a 357 mag.
H110.
Or W296. Why? Because they're the same.
Exactly. Load them up hot, Mark. Load them up hot.
Whee!
And Jason's got it exactly right. It's WW296. So Winchester Western 296.
Actually, they dropped the second W.
True, a long time ago.
But anyway, it's still nice to call it old school. Question number 2. Mark posted in Cast Bullets and Bullet Casting. What lead do you use to cast 4570? The reason I ask, I'm using up my hardball, Lyman number 2 equivalent, and been noticing more leading in the barrel than normal. The bullets are sized 2 thousandths over bore diameter, and a buddy mentioned that my lead might be too hard for the lower velocity I'm pushing them at. Should I switch to my slower bullet to a 1 to 20 or a wheel weight mix to see if that solves my leading issues?
Well, hardness and size has always been the king when it comes to dealing with cast bullets. He's got the size right down pat. You know, he could slug your barrel, but he probably already has. Just check the bore size. It should be 458. You're probably running your bullets at 4.460. And the lead might be a tad bit too hard. It's a known fact that you could take pure lino and run it too slow, and you'll start getting leading. Lino is much harder than Lyman number 2 alloy. And besides that, my opinion is melt some down, recycle your lead. Yeah, lessen the recipe from the Lyman number 2 9010 95.5. Yeah, you could try that. Yeah, absolutely, you could.
Travis,
you'll need a little antimony. But go ahead, Travis.
Yeah,
Travis,
so I've got the Lyman.
what should he do?
I've got the Lyman Cast Bullet Handbook.
Yep.
And I do cast. These are 4570 projectiles. All but one in here calls for a Lyman number 2 alloy. So I'm also cheap, and I've ran wheel weights for a long time. And I agree with Jim. Without him knowing what proper size his barrel is, he's probably undersizing his projectiles a little bit. But I personally like to save my lineotype and hard alloys and use them sparingly. So for me, it's a benefit to run a 1 to 10 mixture, or a 1 to 20 is good. I think wheel weights, their Burnell hardness is around 910. And I think I got it written down, actually. And I think a 1 to 10 will give you around 11.5 Burnell hardness. A Lyman number 2 is a 15 Burnell hardness. So you probably know my opinion.
Well, that's
Powder
why I
coat.
asked you. That's exactly why I asked you. See, you went a long way, and I'm just sitting here going, "You're killing me, man. You're killing me."
I have found once I started powder coating, it solved so many leading issues and took care of. I never really had leading issues, but I'm telling you, powder coat. This is a NOE mold projectile, and they are sized to 0.459. This is a Lee 4570 mold, and this one is sized at 457. So, like I say, it depends on what diameter he's actually shooting. But powder coat.
I want to throw a little sidebar in there if you don't mind, Travis.
Go ahead.
You reminded me of something I saw this week in that same group, Cast Bullet and Cast Bullets and Bullet Casting. I saw a mold in that particular group. The guy's got a 30 caliber bullet mold that he's going to powder coat. But here's the interesting tidbit. It has no gas check rebate, and it has no rifling grooves. It's just a straight wall bullet, 30 caliber, sort of a general round nose bullet. Not a Spitzer, closer to a round nose. And it looked like it was in a Lee mold.
So you're saying, you said rifling, but you mean didn't have any lube grooves? Is that what you meant?
If I said rifling grooves, I meant lube grooves.
Yeah. So I've switched over. That's one of the reasons I switched over to like NOE, is they have a lot of choices and they get rid of the lube grooves, because when you're powder coating, I like it because it gives you more bearing surface.
Right.
So there's a lot of companies. I haven't seen anything Lee does in a grooveless mold, but it'd be nice if they started coming out with some.
Well, that would be a custom mold. We know what the prices are on Lee custom equipment. The thing is, I think it was a mold block. Maybe it was just aluminum handles. I don't know. It looked like a Lee mold. I don't know if it was or not.
Well, I say it'd be nice if Lee got with the times and started producing specific molds for guys powder coating.
Well, then the price would go up. That's what Mr. Lee would tell you.
No, they wouldn't, because they would just make them like a regular mold and charge you the same price.
No, the price shouldn't go up. But who are we to tell Richard Lee how to run his business?
Paul Nelson in the chat said that should be a paper patch bullet. So
very similar to the paper patch bullet, Paul. Very similar, except this was a straight wall bullet, and he was going to go straight to powder coat like Travis does.
Yeah, and I guess that's the other thing to point out. A lot of the times, once you do powder coat, you don't need a gas check.
Well, like I said, this particular bullet was a straight wall bullet. It had no gas check rebate.
Yep.
Rebated heel, I should say.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, definitely powder cutting is the better option for that. I think it's the simplest solution. So,
and like I say, I like to sparingly use my hard alloys. So when you powder coat, you can kind of cheat a little bit, and you can go with a softer lead and further your use of your lineotypes and your hard alloys.
Yeah, you can stretch it out. Absolutely.
Because it's getting hard. I don't know about you, Jim, but it's getting harder to come by with just lead in particular.
Yep. Getting damned hard. You're going to have to start buying it from Rotometals, and that's going to be very dear.
Yeah, the biggest problem is a lot of the wheel weight companies are switching over to zinc, because California's one of those lovely things where they've, knocking down all the lead you can use. So instead of having, one type of wheel weight for, California and one type for the rest, they're kind of knocking that down and just trying to go to zinc for everything. So, but
that might actually be on the part of the wheel weight manufacturer too.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, one size fits all sort of thing.
Yep. Yeah. Going to a zinc one is a lot more common because steel's expensive to do, but zinc's a lot cheaper. So, and the cost of lead's gone up in the last few years, so it's definitely a cost savings for them to use zinc. So, Reloader 762 said in the chat of talking, I'm guessing about the NOE molds. He says actually the molds originally designed for the high-tech coating, but most of them use it for powder coating.
Yes, HTC is what they're labeled as.
Yeah. So,
well, Jim, just as well as any, it's called gas cutting. So that's why I'm kind of thinking he might not have the right size projectile.
More than likely.
Well, like I said in the beginning, we don't know what size his bore is. And I had hoped that the gentleman had slugged his bore to make sure he was 2,000ths oversized.
See, I bought this mold. This is the Lee. And like I said, this one was coming out measuring at 0.457. I bought this quite a while ago. I just assumed this would be what I needed for a 458. After I powder coated it and everything, it would come out close to what I needed. But this particular projectile just did not work for me. And unless the guy's, kind of doing some more research, he might be running into just an undersized projectile.
Well, the thing is, Travis, the nominal diameter on that caliber is 0.458. You know that, so do I. You should be running a 0.4660. I'm sorry, I misspoke. A 0.460 projectile in a nominally speaking in a 0.458 barrel.
Yeah, it should be at least 1 to 2 thousandths over.
Right. We're agreeing with each other. You said the short way, I said the long way, but that's what I'm famous for. No, Paul, I've never paper patched, and I tell you the truth, buddy, I don't plan on starting. That's just a rabbit hole I don't want to go down.
I was looking on Lee's site to see if they had any new molds out. Maybe started jumping on the coated bullet bandwagon, but they haven't. But I was looking at the black powder ones, and they've got Manet bullet molds. That could be fun.
Well, if you think about it, Mike, powder coating, and I say Jim and I got different opinions, but powder coating, in my opinion, has really advanced the ability of hand casters. So much so that even big companies like Remington are now making factory rounds with powder coated projectiles.
Yep.
Well, you're right up to a point about the opinion difference, Travis. It's just I'm lazy. I'm not going to handle. I'm not going to handle 100 bullets at a time in a plastic in a tray or whatever, and put them in a toaster oven when I can take and lubricate 1,000 of them in 10 minutes with tumble lube.
I'm lazy too, Jim. I'm lazy too. Trust me.
Yeah, but don't you have to place those on a tray or in a rack or something before you buy it?
There's another step. It would take you more than 10 minutes, yes, but like I say, I think the advantages well outweigh the little extra time, in my opinion.
Okay, that's fine.
So I individually, I have little trays, and I do like have them sticking up on the bases. But there's a lot of guys, Jim, who put them right into a wire basket, and they're laying on top of each other in a big jumbled mess. And you would think that they stick to each other, but when you pull them out, usually you dump them into some water, and they're not sticking to each other. So that's kind of more the lazy man's powder coat method, is put them in a basket and bake a whole bunch at one time.
I'm lazy. If I were to do it, I would do it that way.
And I did it that way for a long time, but then I kind of just wanted to have them look nicer, and I have the trays, so I think I can do 300 at a time, and then I've got 2 ovens, so I can do 600.
Well, the other thing is too, Travis, I have 3 quarts of liquid Alox that I'm going to use. Well, 3-quart bottles of X-Lox or white lube or whatever they want to call it. It's the same stuff. It's just in a larger container. The same stuff that Lee sells at 4 ounces at a time, and they sell it for $8. Well, I bought 72 ounces or whatever, 32 times 3 is 96 ounces. I bought that for about twice as much as a 2 or 4 ounce bottle. I intend to use that up before I try anything new. I think Travis has got himself a bottle exactly what I'm talking about. Yep. I've got 3 bottles of that, Travis. I'm not going to give that up.
Yeah, I've got some of that unopened, and Phil will appreciate this. This is for emergency use only. I think Phil knows where I'm coming from with that. This will stay brand new until I need to use it.
Yeah, nothing like a prepper. Be ready. Always try to be ready.
So it's not a matter of if.
Jim, Paul in the chat wants to know if you remember Rooster Lube.
Yes, absolutely I do. Rooster Red.
Aha. So is that kind of like an ALX?
No, this is a pressure lubricant that's used in a Lyman 450. It's a sizing press, and when you push it down into the sizing die, you give the top of it a little crank, and the lubricant actually squeezes into the lube groove.
Aha.
I've done it quite a bit. I even made my own lubricant there for a while, Paul.
I did
equal parts of beeswax, paraffin, and Vaseline by weight. And then just for orneriness, I threw in a couple tablespoons of liquid or powdered graphite.
There you go.
Yeah, I had a lube sizer, and once I found powder coating, I sold all my stuff.
I get
I was making my own lubricant too, Jim, and it got so messy and just a pain in the butt.
Well, when you warm the lubricant up, you just pour it into the 450 into the sizer, lubricant sizer, and I saw a guy actually make his own cakes with it without a PVC tubing.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing.
Yeah, the fiddle on that.
Yeah.
He said they made a tumble lube as well. So.
No, that I don't remember, Paul.
Nope. Okay. Any rate, now that horse is glue, let's go on to question 3.
Good luck with that. Oh, okay.
Check the show notes, silly.
Somebody put a question I didn't know.
Hi, team. I found your show a fortnight ago. He's from down under. And I'm having a blast listening to your back catalog. Yeah, he's definitely from down under. Not right in the head. I'm in Australia, so my options are limited in what I can own. But I have and reload for the following. Howa 1500 REM 223. Howa 1500 in 204 Ruger. Ruger M77 and 6.5 Swede. Marlin 1984 in 357. And a Silver Pigeon over and under, which is a 12 gauge. I reload very manually using a Redding T7, but I treat it like a single. I have a Lyman G6 for measuring powder, but also have a Uniflow, not that I use it. I'm time poor, so normally split my reloads into prep then loading states, as it'll be unlikely I'll be able to do it all in one hit. His current workflow is universal decap, wet tumble clean, resize, trim, deburr, tidy primers, remove crimp if needed. Short wet tumble to remove the lube, store until ready. Then prime with a hand primer, fill with the G6 and a funnel to 50 rounds, checking with a torch. In their idea, a torch is a flashlight. He's not using an actual flame torch, just so everybody knows.
Exactly.
Some people don't understand the different lexicon. So in Australia and England, a torch is actually a flashlight. So he checks each case with a flashlight, making sure there's powder in each. Then he seats projectiles and repeats for the next batch of 50. He wants to know what the best reloading workflow to get the most out of a turret and waste less time without compromising. Thank you, Paul B. So he's got a T7. And I don't know.
It sounds like he's got a pretty good workflow right there. I mean, once he gets his cases primed, all he can do from there is fill it with powder, seat the projectile and stuff. So I don't know that there's a lot much more that he could do to save time.
Yeah, because I don't really know. The T7 being a turret, he can rotate and have the multiple dies, so he can just go ahead and pound everything out all in one shot. But I honestly don't know. I don't know enough about the T7 to know if it's practical to prime on the press or not. It may not be. I know most of your single stages it's not. But honestly, whether he fills one, seats a bullet and sizes it, or if he has them all in a tray and then fills them all in one shot, I don't know if one or the other is going to be more efficient.
I think there might actually be another solution to this. No, I mean, because I agree with you. I don't think there's much time to be gained or lost by going through all these steps with a single cartridge or doing the same step with all the cartridges and switching to the next step. But I wonder if there's maybe some time we can save him in the brass prep. Because, I mean, depending on how much he's doing, I know that me personally, when I first started off reloading 5.56, all I had was like the Lyman hand power trimmer, and I gave myself tendonitis in my right hand trying to use it. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, to me, it's like I wonder if there's time we could save him in the brass prep, which tends to be the more arduous, time-consuming aspect to reloading rifle cartridges.
Well, I know as soon as that new Lyman sizing trimmer setup is available, I'm going to order one. So I'll let you guys know how that turns out. But you're probably right, Phil. That's the easiest place to save some time, because that's the worst part of reloading, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, it's out right now, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with the world's finest trimmer They're affordable. They work great. There's Gerard 300 Triway. There's Franklin Arsenal has their case prep center, which has the trimmer, the deburr, and the chamfer tool all built in and all motorized. I mean, to me, at least. Go ahead.
I know you guys. You're always mentioning the world's finest trimmer. I had that one. I got rid of it, and I bought. I have the box over there. I can double check. I believe it's called the Trim-It 2, and it's just like the Gerard 3-way, where it cuts, chamfers the inside and the outside all at once. And it works just like a world's finest trimmer where you put it in a drill. So that right there would save several steps if you just had that, and then it would chamfer the inside and outside and trim it all at once for you.
Yeah, I mean, if I have one criticism of a world's finest trimmer, is that it does not chamfer, deburr all in the same step. Although, I mean, honestly, just to be able to automate and power your trimming, that by itself is going to be an enormous help. I mean, I guess that's my way of looking at it. When I look at, because I mean, when it comes to reloading rifle rounds, I reload 308 Winchester, and I'm looking for, under an inch groups at 100 yards. But when I turn around and reload 5.56, I'm mass producing the stuff on a single stage. I'm doing it the long, slow, hard way using that press. But it still takes me probably 60-70% of my time investment reloading that cartridge is in the brass prep. It's in cleaning it and resizing and trimming and swaging and all the other nonsense that comes along with it. So my way of looking at it is that until you get away from the idea of using a single stage or a turret to do that part, your actual loading, until you get to the point of stepping into like a Dillon, like a 550 or a 650 or a 1050, I don't see a huge time savings in the actual loading. I see an enormous time savings in the brass prep, and that's where I'd be putting a lot more of my time and attention towards what can I do in the brass prep to save time, because that's where I burn all my time reloading 5.56.
On that same note, the only contribution I have about saving time on brass prep is do it in large batches. I generally do it a coffee can full at a time, or two at a time.
So I grabbed the box. I grabbed the box, and it's called the Trim-It 2. It is the micrometer case trimmer that chamfers and deburrs. Their website is blackwidowshooters.com. And I use this, like I said, I haven't used it for a long time, but I used it for 308. And like Jim said, I would sit down and I'd have a bucket there, and I would just do as many as I could every night until I got a big batch. But I really liked it because it did everything all in one step. And like I said, I haven't used it in a while, but I pulled this out. It looks like this is a little bearing, and they come with different sizes, and you just put a bushing in there, and it goes off of the case neck. So you can change what size of a case you want to trim. But I did really like it because it did everything all at once, and this is what I upgraded to after the world's finest trimmer, because I would do, like Jim said, I would sit there and do as many as I possibly could with the world's finest trimmer. And then I knew I had to go back and chamfer and deburr that same number of cases, a second and third time. So
the other advantage I had is I was using my Craftsman drill press to do that. I would just stand the case up, trim it, stand the case up, deburr it, stand the case up, chamfer it. I had to go through all three at the same time, but I could do 600 rounds of that in an hour's time with using that drill press.
Theoretically, you're handling that case at least a minimum 2 times, 3 times really, but you can chamfer and deburr at once, but you're handling it more than once.
I don't disagree with you.
If a guy could afford it, and Phil knows where I'm going to say, the Dillon case trimmer.
Yes, it's a nice piece of kit.
It saves. I mean, it doesn't chamfer and deburr, but I have found it cuts nice enough that after I throw it in the tumbler, that it knocks off any burrs or anything. But I'm talking 2, 3. I guess if you're doing some precision stuff, I would go back and chamfer and deburr that with a hand, at least a hand chamfer deburring tool or a RCBS setup.
I'm not sure if we were on the air or not, but I know that I said earlier that the Dillon equipment, anything from the 650 up, can be used for brass prepping only.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Phil and I were talking about that.
Yeah, my pops has his 650 set up with one tool head that does nothing but deprime, size, trim 556. That's all he does with that one tool head. It's set up to do nothing but brass prep.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you that having played around with his setup, he can prep brass probably about 10 times as fast as I can with a single stage and a world's finest trimmer. But there's no mention made in the question of whether he's using like a hand power trimmer or a power trimmer. I go back to the idea that, I think he can save more time in the brass prep than he can save in the loading, me personally.
I agree with you.
I mean, let me ask you a dumb question, gentlemen.
No dumb questions.
Are you using, when you go to deburr and chamfer the case mounts, are you using your cordless drill for that or anything of that nature? Putting it up in a holder and deburring under power, chamfering under power?
I have.
Oh my God! No wonder you guys are bitching about time.
Hang on a second.
You're deburring by hand. You're deburring by hand.
Hang on. Eddie's Old Man River. First of all, I'm young and able-bodied, so doing this is not a huge, impetus on me. It doesn't hurt me that
It's
bad.
time-consuming, for God's sake.
Look, some of us have more time on this earth than others, so a couple of seconds isn't gonna be the end of my world.
Gotcha, Phil, you bastard. Gotcha.
Get it right, Mr. Bastard.
Anyway. But the wear on your hands,
yes,
takes your toll after you're done. So
yes,
but here's
use your cordless drill on and make it an attachment of some kind.
But I guess here's what I'm saying: the amount of time it takes me to really quickly with that Lyman VLD tool I have, which has a nice big knurled handle you can get your hand around, quickly do it by hand versus the amount of time it was taking me to actually do the trimming. I saved more time with the world's finest trimmer than I would have saved chucking up the chamfer deburring tools in a drill.
Well, I think what we're all on the same page though, Phil, Jim. If you're hand loading, I'm with Phil.
Reloading we're all talking about reloading because we're talking about saving time on brass prep.
Well,
hand loading.
I'm saying hand loading. I'm going to do like Phil does. If I'm reloading, I'm going to do like you would do and find some other mechanical means to go faster.
Exactly. I agree with both statements you made. Totally agree.
Although that being said, I mean, in my experience, a world's finest trimmer and probably a lot of these other pieces of equipment, they trim that length consistently enough. You're not giving up much. Getting away from a hand-powered trimmer, going to a motorized one, as long as it's the right piece of equipment. So I guess my way of thinking is like, when you get into the really nitty-gritty part of hand loading rifle ammunition, like, checking for neck tension and concentricity and all that, yes, time investment goes out the window. You're going to spend a lot of time in your brass prep. But something as simple as like tumbling your brass, cleaning it, trimming it, those are things that can be done quickly and consistently. And that's where, I go back to it. That's where I'd look for my time savings. It has been my experience that there are very few ways you're going to speed up the actual loading of the round as far as seating your projectile and the powder, for throwing powder and everything else. There's very few ways you're going to do that to a high level of precision and gain more speed. You're going to give something somewhere most of the time. But you can speed up the brass prep without substantially giving up your end result. One man's opinion.
There was one thing on here.
You just like to argue with me. That's all it's going
So
on.
just
here.
get a Frankfurt Arsenal Platinum Series case trim and prep system. Not only does it chamfer and deburr and primer pocket prep, but it also trims the case.
Enough said, Mike.
It's $155 on Amazon for that. Your die or your trimmer that you said, Travis, at Brownells is, oh crap, I just got rid of it. Let's see here. It is $129.99 for just the base. That doesn't include any of the sizing dies.
I think a WFT is like 80, 85.
Yep.
Minus the cordless drill or the corded drill you'll need to run it.
Yeah. Now with the Frankfurt Arsenal, you're still going to be moving it from station to station, but you're only going to be picking the brass up once, hitting all your stations and setting it back down. So it's kind of the best of both worlds as far as that goes.
Trumbo uses one, doesn't he?
Trumbo's got a couple of brass to prep stations, but I think one of them just sits around and collects dust.
They all sit around and collect dust.
Well, then you should send them to me so I can play with them.
You should send me something.
I was going to send you the lab radar, and you said no, so.
Because that was going to cost me a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because you weren't going to give it back.
Exactly.
So we're all in agreement. The best spot he could save time is brass prep.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. In the infamous words of Trevor Furlot, brass prep sucks.
Amen.
Yeah, I just got to bring one thing up. I just got these really nice aluminum loading blocks from Entirely Crimson. I just had to show them off. They're so nice.
They're so nice, your camera went black.
Yeah. They're super shiny.
That's what I was going to ask. Was the gentleman from down under? I assume he's using loading blocks because he's doing it in batches of 50.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a good assumption.
Well, the other thing I was going to say, if you wanted to take and increase your production slightly, use 2 loading blocks of 50. I do on occasion.
Or do what I do.
100 instead, yeah.
Yeah, do 100 at a time.
See, I do a coffee can at a time. When I'm loading 5.56.
No, I'm talking about hand loading, not reloading.
But hear me out.
Either way.
I do all my brass prep. I hand prime a coffee can of brass at a time. And then I individually seat those bullets and throw my powder charges one at a time. To me, it's all about volume. You know what I'm saying? Like you can do this. You can do something to a high level of precision, but still want to do the same step 200 times instead of doing it 50 at a time. I'm just saying I do a coffee can at a time because it makes it nice and easy to organize.
Yeah, sure. I do it too. When I'm reloading.
Paul Ann in the chat brought up another good thing. Sometimes when you have an electric dispenser, you're waiting for that. You fill one case and you're waiting for it to catch up to get your second charge. So running 2 of them at once really cuts that time in half.
Yeah. Or what he could do while he's waiting, another thing as opposed to buying another powder thrower, which some people don't have an option, is while he's waiting for that next charge, he could be seating the bullet while he's waiting.
That's how I do it. So I'll fill up a couple, get a head start, have them in my block, and then I will start grabbing them and seating them and turning my turret and setting everything. But I always catch up before I had that same one, the Gen 6.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a little bit slower than others, but I always seem to catch up and just sitting there waiting for it to fill cases so I can go back. There's a YouTube guy, 8541 Tactical. When he does some videos, he runs 2 of the RCBS Charge Masters just for that reason. Still, that's nothing compared to the brass prep time.
Yep. Yeah, brass prep's going to be where he's going to save the most. By far and away. So.
And it looks like from his calibers, he's really doing some 223, 204, a 6.5, and then some pistol cases. So he doesn't have to buy a whole lot of bushings and stuff if he went with a Trimmet 2 or a Girard. But if he went with that Frankfurt Arsenal, he's got the best of all of it because he can have all of that set up right there in front of him to clean up primer pockets, chamfer, deburr, all of it sitting right there. So I think that's probably a good. And we also got to remember shipping stuff overseas to Australia. It might cost us where you said the price was on that mic, but it's probably going to cost him quite a bit more to get it over there to him.
Yeah, there's probably local suppliers he has too. I'm not sure, but excuse me. But yeah, definitely, brass prep is going to be biggest time savings. Is figuring out ways to shorten that. That is going to be his by far and away his hugest time savings. So, all right, gang. I want to take time to thank everybody who writes in questions. That was kind of the first email question out of a whole crap ton we have. So I'm going to make sure I get those to Jim so he can get those in our show notes for the next couple shows. Because we've got a bunch in there that need to get answered. Appreciate everybody sending in the emails, reloadingpodcast@gmail.com. Really grateful when people give us thanks and let us know they're listening to the back shows. I do have a listener that is going through and doing some awesome and serious cleanup on some of her older audio. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'll start posting some of those. He did I think 160. Actually, I've got the email. Let's see here. He did. Where'd it go? I don't know where it went. Never mind. I don't have it handy. So, but yeah, he had some. Oh, there we go. He did 168, 170, and 171. So, so he's really cleaned those up. I haven't listened to him yet, but he told me what he did to clean them up. So, just some amazing effort. So, but just grateful for all the time he spends on that. So. He's an audio engineer he's got a lot of training in audio engineering, so he's pretty handy with how to do all sorts of good stuff on making those older episodes sound better. So everybody give Bobby a huge round of applause and thank you for that. So
thank you, Bobby.
Yeah, he's done some amazing stuff with some of the audio. I've listened to a couple of the ones. He went back and started with, I think, episode 1, and amazing how he cleaned that up. So.
Oh, my God. He went all the way back to that one.
Yep.
Good for talk about dedicated.
Yeah.
We're talking, on the order of close to 5 years worth of material.
Yep. Yeah, it's amazing that he's volunteered to do that. So,
holy jeez.
Oh yeah,
Mike.
Yes.
We didn't ask Jason what he did in Guns and Reloading.
Jason, what'd you do?
Am I being detained?
No, interrogated.
I'm sorry, Jason. This is not the We Like Shooting Patreon group. You're not being detained.
Oh. Yeah, I did nothing.
I figured that'd be quick.
We wanted to be nice and ask you. So. You missed Jim getting picked on earlier, so that was fun.
No, Jim got flogged.
Were you live when it happened?
Yes, it was.
We were live.
Yes.
We were live. It's on this YouTube.
We was broadcasting.
He got beat by his wife. It was awesome. And then she realized she was being recorded and beat him some more.
Exactly. And what you didn't see was her shaking her hand, because when she hits me hard enough, she hurts her own hand. I just sit there and giggle at her.
Uh-huh.
And then she hits you some more for giggling, right?
Yeah. Until she can't stand it anymore.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she is, guys. For real, for real, for real. She is an awesome woman. And she'll probably never hear that, but that's a fact.
Well, if she doesn't hear that, that's on you there, mister. Anyway. So, anyway.
I told the guys that you were awesome, Marissa. I'm done. I'm done stepping on you, Mike.
Carl saved you. He says he likes the Frankfurt Arsenal Case Prep Center, so he has one and it works really well. So, oh, and Steve Crawford says he has model 1929 or a Model 8 from 1929, Remington 35 Remington. So, so there's an old fun one.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's fun. I love Cartridge Corner. If you've got suggestions you want for the Cartridge Corner, send us an email, reloadingpodcast@gmail.com. Send us a text, 608-467-0308. Or you can leave us a voicemail that way, if you want to be aired on the air. Anyway, if you have a reloading question you need an answer to right now, hop on Facebook, head over to the Reloading Room, and use the Google search. Search the knowledge base there. If by chance it hasn't been asked, ask to join and ask your question. If you have a question you want covered on the show, you can send us an email, reloadingpodcast@gmail.com. You can head over to the Reloading Podcast Facebook page and leave it there. You can head over to the Reloading Podcast group, if you remember, and leave the question there, or you can private message one of us. We're also on Instagram. Not as much as I'd like to on there, but working on now that I'm going to finally get some time and the weather's going to warm up a little bit and I can actually be out in the garage for more than 20 minutes at a time. I'm going to start firing up some more stuff and we'll get some more pictures on Instagram and maybe some short videos. So, also want to take time to thank the Patreons. Just appreciate everything they do helping us out. So, appreciate all the support. And want to thank these yahoos who come hang out on Tuesday nights when we record live 7 p.m. Central on our YouTube channel. So, enjoy this. So,
that's one of the main reasons why we do it so much, do it so long. The longevity, because we enjoy each other's company so well.
Yep.
Plus, we love the art, the craft.
Yep. So when it actually starts to get a little warmer around here, like March or April, we'll actually dive into casting. Because when I do that, I want to be able to actually have a video camera set up and do some casting. But frankly, it's not very practical to do casting when it's 15 degrees outside, because you kind of lose your manual dexterity with trying to stay warm. Yes, the lead's nice and warm. However, you get just all sorts of messes with having to wear your thicker gloves and trying to keep your hands warm and then trying to keep everything else warm. Plus, you're going to go through a lot more fuel and energy trying to keep the lead warm. So,
but at least you don't get tinsel fairy on the under the feet and sandals, huh?
Nope.
We don't know who we're talking about, do we, Travis and Phil? Or I'm sorry, Travis and Trumbo.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't have a scar on my foot.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a fun series. I'd like to see that one. Hopefully,
Yeah.
we can start from basically walk them all the way through from getting in the raw materials, turning them into ingots,
We will.
maybe making some alloys, and finally making our projectiles, and then powder coating them.
Yep. We will. So.
Well, I'll see what I can do about making sure that we have some video of how quickly I can tumble lube them also. Even if I got to put it on my own YouTube channel.
Oh, good.
Eddie's casting nerds.
So, Tread in the chat wants to know suggestion on forming 222 from 223 without getting wrinkles in the shoulder. Paul N had suggested anneal the case, shoulder, and then use a body die. But Tread said he tried annealing, so I don't know if he didn't try the body die or if he just tried annealing and then do a full size, but I don't know. I guess I'd have to look up the dimensions on both to see how different they are to see if fire forming would be an option. My guess is probably not.
No, it wouldn't be, because the thing is, the neck is way farther down on the 222 case, quite a ways down. The other thing is too with that is because you're trying to take body brass, that's from brass from below the shoulder of the 223 case, and neck it down to 224 diameter inside or thereabouts, and you're trying to neck that body brass down into wall thickness of 10 thousandths or so.
So
the
basically,
it's too much brass.
So it's basically kind of like trying to make 308 out of 30-06.
That works, believe it or not. I've done it.
Right. But I mean, as far as people
yes.
have done that with success, so it kind of gives it an idea.
Yes, it does. You're right, it does. But my point is, on the 222 from 223, it's doable, but you're putting a lot of brass. You're trying to stuff 5 pounds of brass in a 2-pound hole.
Right. So, Bill Newbert in chat said, I had an ingot that was too cold and developed condensation. He then met the Tinsel Fairy.
Oh.
That's, yeah. So that's another reason for not doing it when it's ridiculously cold outside.
That's right, Mike. Hopefully you got your lead inside and dry.
It's dry. It's in the garage, so temperature...
Inside is good. That's fine. I'm talking about it's dry. That's the main thing. The other thing is too, like Mr. Newbert said, you want your brass to, or your lead to warm up slowly. You don't want to throw. I put wet lead in a hot pot, but the pot was empty and dry of lead. I put wet lead in it, and it was all cold, starting a new pot when I was rendering. Right. And I've done that, but that's putting hot lead in a dry pot, empty pot, or wet lead in an empty pot. I'm sorry, I should say.
Yeah, it's once you get the lead under the surface tension, or the water under the surface tension of the lead.
Kaboom.
Mm-hmm.
Instant steam explosion, and lead will fly wherever it goes, and you will meet the Tinsel Fairy, and you'll find out what a dirty bitch she is.
Well, you make it sound real nice and sweet, Jim, but if a guy's actually ever seen the devastation that it causes, it is an explosion.
Yes, sir. I make it sound nice and sweet.
A Tinsel Fairy sounds like, hey, I wouldn't mind meeting her once in a while, but it is an explosion.
Yes, you're right. I've seen worse explosions when somebody accidentally threw a live cartridge into the lead.
Wow.
That wouldn't be good.
Yeah, they emptied the pot.
Mike, do you still have those ingot molds I sent you?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, yes, indeed.
That was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. Yep, I've still got them. They're still sitting here. So, I've used that all up. So the ones that I originally used that in, but everybody else gets to see them.
Mike, way back when, didn't we do like a 5-part show series on bullet casting?
We did, but it was before we were doing video.
Oh, okay. It's all audio then.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely want to do some video on that. So, all right, gang. Excuse me. But
well,
so
maybe when we do that series, I think you already mentioned this, Mike. We can do a nice giveaway and give away all the stuff needed to do some casting, like the pot, mold.
Yep. So, yeah, definitely, and we'll have Full Lead Taco on before then, but maybe we can have him join us for those too. So, because he was just showing the gun dudes how to do some casting. Well, Stan and Carl. So
Stan, Carl, and Jason.
Yeah,
SX3 they were hugging each other. Yep.
SX3 podcast, and then Jason Christensen from
Concealment Solutions.
Yes, great
holster. I'm going down there Friday to get a custom holster and to hang out with those guys.
Shut your whore mouth. Oh, I'm sorry. Did that slip out?
Yeah, your mic was hot. Well, remember, Mike, you managed to make it to SHOT Show, and we were all cursing you for it.
This is true. So someday I'll make it out there. But yeah, those folks are a great podcast and a blast to listen to. And you'll have to stop by Stephanie's shop and say hi.
Yeah, the Gun Dudes. That's what their old podcast was called. Was the Gun Dudes. They're one of the very first podcasts I ever listened to and got me hooked on podcasts. And then, like I say, I stumbled upon Jim's old podcast, and it got me hooked on all of this. So,
yeah, between Tom Gresham, the Unknown Trucker, and Gun Dudes, that's kind of the three motivating factors behind me getting into podcasting. So if you like the show, thank him. If you hate the show, curse him. Anyway.
Just don't use our name.
So, but then, yeah. And then Tom Nelson's got the Paracast with Steve Koski. So check that one out too. That's kind of the other half of the Gun Dudes. Sure enough. But it sounds like you're set for a weekend of fun there, Travis.
Yes, sir.
So, Travis, you got any new targets coming out?
Oh, I've got several. I'm super lazy. I've got several we've got out there. Just I have not updated the website in quite a while. Yeah, I know. That's another thing I'm doing. I'm going up to Utah to talk to some other vendors and get some stuff in Utah, but I don't know. I'm just lazy, I guess. I haven't got stuff on the site. There's a lot you got to do. You got to take some good You got to get everything set up, take good pictures. That's the hardest part, is getting time to take good pictures. And
I'll tell you what, you send all the stuff to me that you need pictures of.
Okay.
I'll take those pictures for you. I've got a really nice DSLR, and
if you take good pictures, that might actually be worth it for me.
I'd take awesome pictures.
I've done it before. I haven't forgot. I'm going to get you a banner here pretty soon too.
Yeah. That way people can quit looking at Federal Premium.
I say I don't ever talk about what I do in the target business, but if you guys need some targets, please go over to buckeyetargets.com. That's probably the one and only time you'll hear me say that.
No, because we'll drag it out of you.
Yeah, we drag it out of you every once in a while. So,
yeah. And I'll tell you what, I've got a 8-inch steel target that Travis gave me, and that's the damn target I hit with my 280. 3 shots, 300 yards, 0.3 of an MOA. I was like 750 thousandths between 3 shots, center to center, at 300 yards, and that was on a Buckeye target.
Yeah, and that target's only been shot 3 times.
Ew. He got you.
Heck, I know one time I got a picture of Jason. He wore it like Flavor Flav wore it around his neck.
Mongo in chains.
But Jim's target has been shot 3 times more than Jason's.
Oh
no, actually, that's incorrect.
Only 2 times more.
No, Jason's target's been shot a bunch and at long distances.
It's because he lent it out to some friends of his.
No, he's actually shot it at what, Jason, 600 yards?
The dueling tree is what I haven't shot yet, but
Yeah.
my kid took it out and he beat the paint off of it pretty good.
Off of the dueling tree?
Yep.
That reminds me, since this episode's turning into an Italian goodbye and it's taking forever to close the show out.
Yes.
I had some 38 special to burn up in my 357.
Mm-hmm.
And not only this was that batch of 38 special that I stopped loading that load a while ago because I said it was like way underpowered and it needed a few more grains of powder, a few more tenths of a grain of powder to, burn consistently and cleanly. This stuff is loaded so friggin' weak that not only does it not break, it nowhere near breaks sound barrier. It sounds like a suppressed 22 coming out of the 4-inch barrel of my 357. But I was shooting at our range's dueling tree, and I had to hit the little plates 3 times to get them to go from one side to the other. Like the first time, it would just kind of go clink. And the second time, it'd go a little bit further. And then finally, I realized I had stopped hitting the plate in the center and like wing it all the way on the outside edge to get it to flip to the other side. And half the time, it would just go halfway and stop. So it'd be behind the center post. I couldn't shoot it anymore.
Yeah, dueling trees are kind of a tricky thing to make them function really well.
Yeah, well, I was beating the hell out of him with my 357, and even my 9mm was getting him around. But those little 38s just, it was the definition of mouse farts.
If you don't get one to like you're not getting it to flip over all the way, the next problem is usually you get someone shooting too hot of loads and you get it to bounce back, hitting one side and bouncing back to the other. That's the other problem.
Well, that's their fault then.
Yeah, well, we determined that a 158 grain bullet shoved by 16 grains of H110, it makes the dueling tree flip from one side to the other vigorously. Anyway.
Close her out, Mikey.
All right, gang.
Hey, one last thing. If you guys go over to the Reloaders Network, he's got some of our stuff over there on sale.
Wouldn't that be Lord of Bacon or Loads of Bacon or whatever?
Lord of the Bacon, yes, that is him.
Lord of the Bacon.
Lord of the Bacon has some Buckeye targets over there for, I forget what he's got them marked off to, but he's got some over there on sale.
That is awesome. So anyway, folks, everyone have a great evening. And we thank everybody for tuning in live. Sorry, I was posting a link for somebody in the chat. But yeah, just everybody, check out BuckeyeTargets.com. Great steel. Awesome paper, too. I've shown some of that off before. So, and just some great stuff. The steel's awesome quality. Carl can't stop raving about his dueling tree that he got from Travis and how amazing it is. And more importantly, how awesome it is all to the range. It
is actually Stan's dueling tree.
Yeah, I know. Carl
uses it more than Stan does.
That's because Carl has appropriated it from Stan. So, also, if you're reading and you're into reading, there's this little book that's on Amazon that's pretty damn good that I'd recommend highly. In fact, I'd give it 5 stars and 2 thumbs up.
What's the title of the book?
The author's a bum, but it's called American Insurgent.
Okay.
So, but great reading, and I can't wait for book 2. When you read this book, you won't notice that it's a first ever novel for the author. So, by the way, that author is the slacker known as Phil. So
yeah, I finally got my signed copy. I think you misspelled my name. I don't know who Dipshite is. I think you sent out the wrong one. I might need a different one.
I'm pretty sure that was the right one.
I applaud you, sir.
Dipshite, huh?
Yeah, I think it's French. I don't know. He's probably pretty ticked off that he didn't get his.
I took some pictures of my neck and head behind in the back cover, so you know where to kiss.
Oh, Greg guy in the chat says great book, Phil. They'll get back to the sequel.
Yes. The sequel had to kind of tolerate a bit of a delay because my work life exploded, but things are slowly coming back to normal. I'm not working, unlimited overtime around the clock anymore, so I can get back to writing a little bit.
Yeah.
And the audiobook, I'm hoping March.
Yeah.
God, you're not doing it, are you?
No, I'm not doing it. I didn't trust myself to narrate this thing.
No, he knocked it out of the park with who he's got doing it.
Did I tell you?
Yep.
Oh yeah. My narrator is going to be a shock to a lot of people. He's absolutely the perfect person to help narrate and promote this audiobook. Unfortunately, he has some responsibilities to a lot of people that at the moment are requiring his full undivided attention. So I've told him, do what you got to do. Keep me in the loop. Let me know when you can get back to the narration. So it'll be worth. I'm sure it'll be worth the wait. Just from listening to his auditions and the couple of chapters he's narrated, I will not give this project to anybody else. He's going to narrate every book I write. I don't know how many there will be, but he's it for me.
That's good because I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and a good narrator really can make or break your enjoyment of the story.
Absolutely. Jim Dale made the Harry Potter series go crazy. I listened to it. I'm not going to lie to anybody, but we're talking about this stuff live on the air on a Reloading podcast.
Well, honestly, one of the reasons I'm killing time is because the couple of guys are in the chat trying to help solve Tread's issue. So I don't want them to get cut off. Suddenly we shut the recording off. So
what's the issue?
They're trying to help Tread with his making the 222 brass out of the 223. So.
I see.
So I wanted to kind of kill some time so they could get time to chat back and forth and get them taken care of. So, because that's one of the reasons, that's one of the benefits of joining the chat during the show, is there's a lot of knowledgeable people in there besides just us who's paying attention. And they can cover a lot of different topics and can help answer questions. So,
yep, that's an
Usually
instantaneous answer too.
So,
I can't disagree with Mr. Nelson. I'll tell you that. I've looked at everything he's written here.
Yeah, he's a pretty awesome and knowledgeable guy. He's the one that gave me the 366, and we sat down at a restaurant when we met and talked for probably 3 or 4 hours, and I was blown away. So, alrighty, gang.
Good on you, Tread.
Yep. I just want to thank everybody who helps out, everybody who contributes live during the show. Thanks to Eddie for making a live one. It's fun. And I know 7 o'clock Tuesday nights isn't always necessarily the best time for everybody. The nice thing is if you pop onto YouTube, our YouTube channel, and you watch the shows, then you can actually see the chat as the show is playing. So you can see what everybody was talking about. So that's a pretty important thing. So make sure you're watching that chat while you're watching the show. I don't think you can do it from mobile. I think you got to do it from a regular computer. But I haven't tried to play around with mobile, so. But yeah, there's lots of crap in the crap talking in the chat, but there's also a lot of good information that's passed along. So one of the benefits. Like I said earlier, if you got questions you want answered on the show, reloadingpodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on Facebook at either the podcast page or the or over at the Reloading Podcast group. You know, you can pop on and ask live during the show, and we can look that there too. So we love answering questions. That's why we're here. We love sharing our knowledge. We love helping the advanced reloader as well as the newbie. So that's kind of all in all. So we just love doing it. I think that we might actually do the from the beginning as a side thing this year. I don't think we're going to do it as a regular episode, but I think we're just going to spend some time and make a really good production out of it, and then have it posted on YouTube and over on Reloading Network and some other places. So as opposed to doing it during the show, so we can actually really put some effort behind and make it a really good resource. So everybody won't have to be bored, or the advanced reloaders won't have to be bored with the from the beginning. So
well, you can always refer to that, you know,
right,
with a link, separate show or separate issue or whatever.
Yeah. So, Eddie's question, and I don't know, but somebody will have to answer for us.
Yes.
Cover this next time.
The answer is yes, as long as you can use the same bullet, or this bullet is the same diameter. Did you get that, Eddie? When trimming a 38-40 cases, what size do you use? Use the 40 caliber. Because the bullets are the same diameter.
So, he says, thanks, Jim. So.
Hey, Eddie. Sorry, go ahead.
Everyone say hi to Eddie. He joined in late, and he was almost crushed because he almost thought he wasn't going to get his question asked. So, but even when we're doing the sign off, I pay attention to the chat. So,
well, I did see him post this question in the group earlier today. So,
okay.
Sorry we missed that question.
Well, we've got a lot of stuff that we don't always necessarily get everything from the same day. So, and like I said, we've got emails and stuff. So we try it. We will get to them eventually. Especially if you want it asked on the show, make sure you put a tag in there. You don't need to be serious and like hashtag it or anything. If you really want to, then go ahead. But otherwise, just somewhere in your question, say, please answer on the show as well or whatever. So, because the Reloading Podcast group and the page are knowledge bases, just like the Reloading Room, just not with the length of service and many numbers. And plus we pull a lot more from those two for the show than we do from TRR. So at any rate, on that note, keep your brass shiny.
Be an asset, not a liability.
It's not a matter of if, but when. Buy
it cheap and stack it deep.
Squeeze. Don't yank that trigger.
Squeeze it, Sonny.